And just like that, another year is behind us, but before we can end 2024, let's look back on the year with the Z-Man Show Game of the Year Awards. So this year, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of doing a top 3 or a top 5 or whatever, I'm going to rank every 2024 game that I played, ranked from worst to best. A few things first, these aren't full reviews of these games. If they do have their own video, I'll put a card in the corner of the screen, or a link in the description so you can check those videos out if you haven't, or want to relive some great times. Second thing, there might be some visual spoilers, but I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. Third, I say this every year, no matter how much time and money you have in a given year, you're never going to have enough of either to play every new game that comes out. In fact, I made a short about games I did not get around to this year even though I wanted to play them, and if you've been watching my shorts, thank you a lot, that really helps the channel out. So with that forward out of the way, let's just start this video off right with the worst game of 2024. It was pretty bad. Of all the videos I have made, the video for Spy Family Operation Memory was one of my favorites. That was the first time I worked with others on scripted content. We had costumes, a set, and all of that fun stuff. And fun fact about that video, Chizuru, who played Yor, wasn't supposed to be in the video. We hired a model on Facebook, but literally the minute before we were supposed to start filming, she dipped, allegedly due to passing out on the train, but I'm calling nonsense on that. So my cameraman's wife played Yor at the last minute. I had to rewrite the script to fit her English ability. Anya, played by Ulala, was much more professional about it. She liked playing Anya. As for the game, it sucked. It's a mediocre minigame collection that I totally forgot about after I made the review. This game is pure cheeks and it joins the ranks of many bad Bandai Namco anime games. Just watch the anime and my review of the game. It's far better than playing Operation Diarrhea. This game sucked at launch and it still sucks. If you're still playing this game, tell me why. This game is so bad. The only reason why Multiverses is not the worst game of the year is that I just wasted my time on this title instead of my time and my money. If you spent money on Multiverses, you deserve to get cyberbullied. Another title I reviewed because it came out early in Japan, and it was mid. I can see the vision for Raynantis. It wants to join the urban RPG lineup with titles like Tokyo Xanadu, Persona, and The World Ends With You, even doing a collaboration with the last title. Sadly, the people behind Raynantis just did not have the money to make Raynantis realize its potential. It's just boring, repetitive, buggy, and dry. I can sense that there is a good game in there somewhere, and I think a sequel to this title can fix things up. The team behind Raynantis made a sequel to the game Caligula Effect, so a Raynantis sequel isn't out of the question. There's potential in this world of wizards in Shibuya. Until then, Raynantis is a curious note in the Switch's library, and one I would not check out unless you find it for really cheap.
Get ready for the next battle.
I wasn't a fan of Tekken 8 when I played it during the summer, and after some time, I still don't like this game. It feels like Namco was trying too hard to make Tekken more of a spectator sport, which came at the expense of gameplay. I've seen some Tekken 8 players call the game a casino, and after playing it online, it really felt like that. Add to that the netcode still being underwhelming, the endless amount of microtransactions because Blue Protocol sucked and Namco had to make up that money somehow, and Season 1 DLC being ass made Tekken 8 not a fun time for me. I don't care if Clive is DLC, I ain't going back to Tekken 8 anytime soon. To be fair, Tekken 7 didn't start out too hot either. It took a while for that game to hit its stride, so maybe the same will happen for 8. Until then, I'm gonna go back to the Virtua Fighter 6 waiting room. Dragon's Dogma 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. That title has many flaws, but the strong points easily clear the weak ones. I was beyond stoked for the sequel, and I got it, and boy howdy, I was let down. It's like Capcom learned nothing from the first title and made the good points worse. Fast travel sucks, fairy stones cost too much, and there are only so many poor crystals lying around. There are carts that do allow for travel, but they run the risk of getting ambushed, which happened to me more often than not. There are still no mounts, so you have to hold the sprint button until you almost run out of stamina, then go back to walking in this awkward one-stop rhythm. And because you're walking around so much, you get into fights all the time. You can't even go 10 feet without some goons assaulting you. Even in the towns, the safe zones, you aren't safe as they get randomly bombarded with monsters. And there's a reason why every game has a lock-on feature and some kind of defense option. You awkwardly walk around trying to make your mark, and it makes combat feel so clunky. The camera also is your worst enemy in close spaces. One of the best parts of the first title was being able to play around with the different classes, and somehow they made classes worse. Only 3 of them are worth playing. I just stuck with the Mystic Spearhand because it had some defensive and mobility options. And even that pales in comparison to the Thief, whose skills are so broken that it makes the rest of the game a cakewalk. Gone are the hybrid classes like the Assassin and my main, the Mystic Knight. Now you got the Trickster class, which is so anus and it can't be used by your pawns. And the Freelancer class, which is awkward because you can't switch weapons mid-combat. Did no one on the dev team decide to play Dragon's Dogma before they released it in the store shelves? That said, there were enough strong points for me to stick with 2 until the end. The combat is fun when you get some better gear and skills. It's gorgeous to look at. There are more caves and places to explore, and it's a total waifu maker. I feel like if someone took their time and gave the team feedback in regards to the more annoying aspects of the game, they could have made 2 a better game. 2 did sell well, so I think Dragon's Dogma 3 can fix things. Though Itsuno is no longer at Capcom, so Here's what I recommend. Play Dragon's Dogma 1. If you like 1, then maybe check out 2. If you don't like Dragon's Dogma 1, then just avoid 2. Capcom has made some big hits over the past few years, but 2 was not one of them. I tried really hard to like Dragon's Dogma 2, but man, that game was rough. But Dragon's Dogma 1 is still a masterpiece, and I do recommend playing it.
Congratulations!
Sega has been on a come-up with their games, and Banana Rumble was a fun time. Solid level designs, great controls, great presentation, and a lot of mini-games that will keep you and your friends entertained. I do prefer the mini-games in Mania more than Rumble, but the single-player content was more enjoyable for me. Super Monkey Ball is an important franchise for me. I have fond memories of playing the first 2 games on the GameCube, and I even enjoyed the games on the DS and the Game Boy Advance. I'm so happy that Sega is giving this franchise the love it deserves. Also, if you can get Godzilla to be DLC for your video game, you should get Godzilla to be DLC for your video game. Hadouken! My top game of 2023, I'm still playing it and still loving it in 2024, until I hop on ranked and lose. A lot. Season 2 released and it was fine? I feel like it's too early to introduce Bison again. It doesn't help that he launched and was an obnoxious top-tier character. Terry and Mai are cool, but I would have liked to have seen 1 for the season instead of 2. Elena is a weird pick. Capcom forgot her war crimes from Ultra Street Fighter 4, then saw that Elena cross Akuma fan art on Twitter and said, yeah, that makes sense, put her in. Like I said, I am still having fun with 6, but I do feel the issues of this game more and more over time. It's annoying to deal with cancels into free drive rush pressure, I hate getting throw looped, and all of these characters are nonsense. I am hoping Season 3 changes things up with a new mechanic or some bigger balance changes. Just something to freshen 6 up. Don't get me wrong, 6 is one of the best fighting games I've played in a long time, and it's a game that I actually like and want to get better at. And even if those changes don't come, I'll still be playing this game well into 2025. I feel like Capcom doesn't have too many people working on 6, as while it's sold well, Monster Hunter and Resident Evil are way bigger than it. Regardless, I am excited for the future of Street Fighter 6. Please buff Jamie. Every Street Fighter 6 season, I'm always like, oh yeah, this is going to be a character. It's going to be my character, Terry, Mai. But deep down, I know I'm going to be a Jamie main forever. Why did I choose this life? I love Team Ninja's action games. Nioh 2 is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. I was so hyped that they were doing an open world game set in the final years of the Edo era, and I think this game is fine. I played Rise of the Ronin before Dragon's Dogma 2, then I cleared that title and went back to Ronin. Dragon's Dogma 2 made me appreciate Ronin all the more. You get things like a lock-on, mounts, fast travel, customization, stuff that should be standard in action games. The combat is as fast and as fun as ever, and I can respect Team Ninja for their ambition. It's clear that Rise of the Ronin is meant to be their magnum opus with how much time and money went into this game. And it is fun, it just misses that key component that Nioh 2 had, which is variety. This game either needed more weapon classes or more enemies to fight. By the midpoint, you see everything the game has to offer. It's not bad, it just got stale. Even the plot, which is more interesting than previous Team Ninja games, wasn't really enough to keep me going. Don't get me wrong though, I do think Rise of the Ronin is a solid game, and it's certainly better than a certain other open world action game that released on the same day as it, but it is missing something more. I believe that a game with Nioh 2's combat and depth combined with Ronin's scale would make for the best action game of all time. and I know that Team Ninja has it in their ability to do so I look forward to that title. I do recommend Rise of the Ronin, if for nothing else to get some usage out of your PlayStation 5. This was by far my most anticipated title of 2024, and after 80 hours of play, is it a worthy follow-up to the string of games that came before it? Let's take a look. Infinite Wealth might have the best turn-based RPG combat of any game in that genre. You have so many options in terms of attacks, movement, classes, the works. The difficulty is just right where it isn't a pushover, but you don't have to grind unless you really want to. RGG changed how classes work, so it's a lot of fun mixing and matching jobs to see what works for you. If your squad looks like this on a Saturday night, you're going to have a great time. It's also the most dense like a dragon game yet. I loved walking around Hawaii, swimming, doing the minigames, and getting really into Sujimon and Dondoko Island. Coming from a guy who doesn't care for Pokemon or Animal Crossing all that much, that's saying something. I guess put Soul Plans in the next Animal Crossing game, Nintendo. Even outside of those two games, there's still a lot you can do in Kamurocho, Ijincho, and Honolulu. That said, the plot is a bit of an issue. Infinite Wealth couldn't decide if it wanted to be a continuation of Ichiban's story or a conclusion of Kiryu's. There's a lot of focus on Kiryu's past, coming to terms with it and his mortality. Even Kiryu gets the honor of fighting the final boss. So there's a lot going on there that honestly should have been its own title. Ichiban's story drives the plot forward, but a lot of his adventures in Hawaii don't get as much time as they deserved. Several major characters are introduced but get iced before we can understand their characters. There's someone who portrays Ichi, then they disappear until the end of the game. You meet Ichiban's mother, a part of his life that he never thought he would ever see, and she gets barely any time to shine. Don't get me wrong, the emotional moments do land, and I choked up a few times like I always do with these titles. The ideas that RGG had for Infinite Wealth were just too big and just did not reach the heights of previous games. It's like they wanted a proper send-off to Kiryu for longtime fans who were not happy with his departure in 6, but also wanted to keep people invested that started with Ichiban's game. So Infinite Wealth felt like it was trying to appeal to two different markets, but not doing either properly. That said, Infinite Wealth's gameplay and density more than make up for the shortcomings of the story. I still had a great time with the title, and I do give it a glowing recommendation. Marvel vs. Capcom Collection was not on my FGC bingo card. I love these games. As a kid, I played Marvel vs. Capcom 1 out of Red Robin and fell in love with the series. I have fond memories of playing Marvel 1 and Marvel Superheroes on an emulator in middle school. And I was never competitive in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I play Strider, Hayato, and Cyclops. I don't care about competing. I just enjoy the scenes and the ratchet levels that this title brings. Capcom slayed with the collection, and it's a must-buy if you're a fighting game fan, or just like the Marvel characters. The main question is, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, will it happen? The collection sold well, and it's clear that the creatives at Marvel and Capcom want it to happen. Hell, even Deadpool wants it to happen. I would bet money that Capcom and Marvel have been having those talks about a new game in this series. The executives might need some convincing, but I'll say this. The wounds of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Street Fighter Cross Tekken have healed. The scene is ready for these two titans to reunite, and I think Ryu would like to see his buddy Cyclops one more time. And if you are going to make a Marvel vs. Capcom 4, please put these characters in. Eternals was a good movie, give it a second chance. And for the record, I did like Deadpool and Wolverine, I saw it twice in theaters, but I already know Disney and the entire movie industry is going to take the wrong lessons from that movie. One of my most anticipated games of 2024. I love Grand Blue as a vibe. Anything with airships and floating islands, I am in there. And it helps that the game itself is a lot of fun. There's swords, magic, combos, big monsters, anime tits, that dragon dude being an annoying piece of crap, and it's a fun time. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what's happening in this title. I just hit buttons and things happen. But it looks cool, and the important part of the gameplay is there. Relink spent the better part of 6 years in development hell. A game spending that long in development has a good shot of being totally crap. Thankfully that wasn't the case with Relink. I didn't see too much chatter about it online. It sold well enough, but it didn't make much of a splash outside of Japan. Which is a shame because I think Relink is really awesome, even if I can't really explain why I like it other than it's just really fun. But that's what video games are supposed to be, fun. Grand Blue Relink launched in early 2024, and throughout the whole year, it remained very high on my best of 2024 list. One of my friends kept badgering me about getting this game, and it got nominated for Game of the Year from Jeff Keighley's Annual Waste of Time, and it was on sale, so I took the plunge, and I'm glad I did. Balatro is one of the most intuitive and fun games I've played in a while. It's poker, but with new rules that mixes things up. It made me think of the card game in different ways. As a bonus, runs never took too long, so I could do a run or two then be satisfied, or waste time playing the game when I should be doing something more productive with my free time. My problem with roguelikes is I get really hooked on them, until I get a run, and then when I get that one, I stop playing the game. Thankfully, Balatro avoids that. Thanks to runs only taking a few minutes, I can play for a bit, then go about my day. I put far more hours into Balatro than I realized, and that's a sign of a great game. It helped my long-ass commutes and my long time sitting on the toilet fighting for my life after Korean barbecue. So what I'm saying is I give the game a recommendation. I said I was done with Balatro after I got my run done, but here I am, playing the game as I'm making a video about games of 2024. Dragon Quest III is sacred in Japan. So many people here are looking forward to this title, including me. So much so that it took me 3 weeks to find a copy on the Switch. I could have played it on PlayStation or gone digital, but that cover art is too sick. This is a no-nonsense, straightforward RPG that laid the groundwork for the genre. If you haven't played Dragon Quest III, I promise you your favorite JRPG was influenced by it. 3 HD is the perfect way to experience this historic title. You can adjust the difficulty to your playstyle. The new features make this title super accessible. The 2D HD style was getting a little stale, but I think this game looks great. Akira Toriyama's designs are so sick in this game. The point is, if you like JRPGs and want something that goes back to basics, Dragon Quest III HD is right up your alley. Sonic has had one hell of a redemption arc since 2020, all of it building up to this. The original Generations was easily in my top 3 favorite Sonic games, and they made it even better. The Sonic campaign is basically the same as the 2011 original. It was fun back then, and it's still fun in 2024. However, the star of the show is Shadow Generations. Without mincing words, if this game had like 2 more levels, Shadow Generations would be the best Sonic game, period. Sonic handles much better than Sonic does in Generations. The level designs are tighter and more dynamic. Shadow's Doom powers are a lot of fun to use, and even running around the hub world is fun. Like a lot of people, I do think Shadow Generations could have been bigger. There's no Shadow the Hedgehog level, and Infinite and Sonic really should have been boss battles. Also for Sonic's campaign, it would have been really cool if they brought back some of the 3DS stages for the console release. But I will not fault the game for what I wanted it to be, because the game we did get is still amazing. Generations and Frontiers provide a solid foundation for future Sonic games, and I'm here for it. I just hope that Sega takes the right lessons from Generations and Frontiers. All we want is good gameplay and fun levels for Sonic and Shadow to play around in. Having some great music and some actual emotional moments are bonuses too. Sonic Cross Shadow Generations is a reminder of why I love the Sonic franchise, and it's easily my favorite game of 2024. From the moment I put Sonic Cross Shadow Generations into my Switch, I knew I had a good shot being my Game of the Year of 2024, and here we are. The third Sonic movie was awesome, by the way. And with that, the 2024 games that I have played ranked from worst to best is finished, and I hope you enjoyed it. As with any year, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and I feel like it's all too easy to focus on the downs in life, but I want to take a moment to focus on some of the positive things that happened to me this year. I've had some pretty good views on my videos, I've made some of my best content ever, I managed to commentate Daigo Umehara's Street Fighter 6 event, and I'm down 50 pounds. So what I'm saying is, keep focusing on the positives. There's always something good to look forward to in life, and I'll be right there with you. Really though, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who's been following me over the years. Whether you're a newcomer who jumped in this year or have been following me all the way back from 2016, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Real talk, I've been on the fence about quitting the YouTube game for a while now, but every now and again I'll get some comment or support saying like, oh Z-Man, I love your content, you should keep making stuff, and that comment always motivates me to keep making better stuff for you guys. So again, thank you so much. So with that, let's end the video. So what are your favorite games of 2024, or your worst games of 2024? Let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. I hope you had an amazing holiday season, and I hope you have a fantastic new year. And you already know what I'm going to be doing. See you guys in 2025. Let everybody take care.